you.
Beautiful.
Thank you, brother.
And you wrote that song quite a while back.
Yeah, back when I had hair and teeth. Yeah, it was a while back. I wrote it in the 90s. About 98 I wrote that song.
Yeah. When did you first start getting interested in guitar? And did you come from a musical family?
Yeah, well, I was always interested in the guitar, and I was always in love with music, right from when my mother brought me home from the hospital, 3 or 4 days old. I wouldn't sleep unless she put my pram in front of the record player and put a stack of records on. And then when that was done and there was silence, I woke up and howled my lungs out, and she turned the records over and I went back to sleep. That's when she knew she had problems, So, yeah, I've always loved music. And my mother always played beautiful music in the house. So she had Marty Robbins records, she had Jim Reeves, Hank Williams, Jimmy Rogers, all early American country music. Yeah. And then there was some Shadows and the Ventures. So it was kind of surfy instrumental music in the early 60s. And so I really started out my guitar playing life as a rhythm guitar player. My older brother Phil was the lead guitar player. So we started about the same time, and basically there were no guitar teachers in the little town where we lived, way out in the middle of nowhere. So we would hear a song on the radio and we'd be sitting there with our guitars waiting for something that we could work on, And so we really trained ourselves to hear a song and work out what key it was in, and then the chord structure. So Phil had an amazing ear. He would hear a song and he'd go, "That's D, that's B minor, blah, blah." And I'm sitting there going, D, B minor, blah, 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 right? And then I'd try it. And then 5 minutes later, he'd be playing the melody, and I had the chords, and away we went, Yeah. And, but I think all that stuff was great fun and experience, but I think it was good training for me for later on. Because when I was about 7, I heard Chet Atkins on the radio. I heard him playing Windy and Warm. And that moment totally forever changed my life, because when I heard it, I just whatever that is, that's what I have to do. And I knew it without question. I just didn't know what he was doing, So basically, we were a 4-piece band, the original band, the Emmanuel Quartet. So there was my brother Chris on drums. My sister Virginia played a Hawaiian steel guitar, a 6-string one. And so I was the rhythm guy, and Phil played the lead. But what made us different was that I didn't know that there was a bass guitar on the record. It sounds a funny thing to say, but if you come from where I come from, people didn't say, "I wonder who's playing bass on that record," For a start off, there were no credits on records in those days, right? Anyway, so I thought the bass part was part of what the rhythm guy was doing, right? So, there was a record that we were working on by an English band called the Shadows,
right?
So Bruce Welsh was the rhythm player. He was my first real guitar hero. So his rhythm part is this. Right, like that, and the bass went. Right? What I heard was this. Right? So when I played that, and my brother played on the drums, and Phil's playing. like that. We sounded as close as we could get to the record.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So nobody said anything. Nobody said, "Where's the bass player?" You know what I mean? It was me playing the bass parts. And so I think it was kind of nature's way, how I was wired, because when I heard Chet, I could tell straight away he was playing everything at once.
Yeah.
I just didn't know how he was doing it, you know?
Yes.
So,
And as the rest of the world was doing the same thing, couldn't
Yeah.
figure out how he was getting all those sounds into one
yeah.
instrument.
Yeah. Well, the difference between his records and everyone else's was that, for a start, he was in tune, right? He was in time.
Yeah.
He had a beautiful sound, and his instrumental records were so beautifully recorded and produced, you know? They just stood out,
Yeah.
you know? And I learned so much about how a song is constructed and how to make an arrangement kind of interesting, you know?
Yeah.
And because unless you're a singer, and like a guy like Bob Dylan can play the same chord structure over and over like a crack record, but he's telling us an amazing story.
Yeah.
He's touching us with what he's saying. His writing is so brilliant and everything. And we don't really care if he's a good singer or not. It's his message,
Right.
you know. But when you're an instrumentalist, you've got to tell a story and lay it all out for everybody and make it really interesting and have like when I play a song, I'm thinking like the lead singer. I'll give you a good example.
Right.
Like when I play any of the Beatles songs, I always think like the singer, right? So I work out all the parts. Say for a tune like Lady Madonna, where you got, right? Then you got, right? So you work all that out, but then once you've practiced it enough, you stop thinking about the skill of it, and you listen to the melody. So when I play that, I don't think about anything else but Lady Madonna, children at your feet, wonder how you manage to make it. Well, who finds the money? So I always tell people that. Even this morning, a young man sent me a video of him playing a song, and the first thing I said to him was, "You play really well, your time is good, you got a good sound, but please go back and listen to the original version and listen to how it's sung, because that's the only thing that's missing."
Right.
You know, so you know, like I have an arrangement of "She's a Woman." So there's all that stuff going on, right? But you sort of, my love don't bring, yeah, right?
Yeah.
There's all that stuff going on, but there's the melody.
Yeah.
So I think that's the lesson here is, you know, make the melody the king, the important part, and then get all the other stuff together to make it interesting and fun and entertaining and all that stuff, but get the melody right. You know?
When you were, as you were growing up and getting to know more about Chet Atkins, y'all made a connection somewhere along the way. Tell us about that.
I was 10 years old, and my father passed away suddenly, and so I was, you know, living inside of Chet's records. I only had 2 albums. I had the Best of Chet Atkins, where he's got the green Gretsch on the cover, and I had Reminiscing with Hank Snow. I had those 2 records, the only ones we could find in Australia. And, you know, I used to clean those records with a toothbrush and clean it all so it would last, you know, but I wore them out, you know. And I still couldn't play any of that stuff very well. And it was way beyond me, but I needed his input in me. It's what kept me going.
Yeah.
And anyway, so I wrote him a fan letter. And
As a 10-year-old.
as a 10-year-old, dear Mr. Atkins, I'm a big fan of yours. I'm trying to play some of your tunes. I love this record, blah blah blah, and all that. And I hope to meet you one day, and all that. And I on the envelope I wrote Chet Atkins, Nashville, America. But that's it. He got it. You know, It was probably delivered on horseback, but anyway, Chet gets that letter, and 2 months later, I come home and my mum says, "Go in your room. There's something on your bed." And there was this big brown envelope, and I opened it, and there was a letter with the RCA Victor records on, the office of Chet Atkins, and I was, couldn't believe it, and a black and white photo signed to me, and I can't tell you what that did to me, It just spoke volumes about who he was as a person. He cared so much about people who loved what he did, and he had no idea that anybody in Australia knew who he was.
Yeah.
When I got to know him, I realized he hasn't a clue the influence he's got out there in the world.
Yeah.
We had many times of talking about that kind of stuff, and I remember once I was doing a masterclass thing at this place in Malaysia, and there were 500 people at a masterclass. 500 is like a concert, right? And they had wireless microphones, and people were firing questions at me and doing all that. It was brilliant, But just before I walked on the stage, I rang him, and I said, "I'm here in Malaysia, and I've got this workshop," and I said, "Do you have any message for all these people? Because you've got so many fans here, Everybody knew that they related to my playing, and of course their fathers said, 'Oh yeah, it's from Chet Atkins,' So, he was a big part of that. So, I said, "Do you have a message for the students?" And he said, "Yep, tell them to tap their foot." That was it. Tap their foot.
Amazing. When did you come to?
I came to Nashville the first time in 1980.
1980.
And yeah, it was my pilgrimage. First of all, I was dying to see musicians who were a lot better than anybody I'd ever seen, because I needed to be knocked down and dragged out and inspired beyond words, And really, by 1980, I had done so much in my home country that I needed to see people doing stuff on another level, absolutely.
Yeah.
And so I went to see Elton John at the Hollywood Bowl, and that was brilliant. And then I came here and I met Chet, and we played together, and he had Lenny Bro in the room upstairs, and we went up and the three of us played together for about 3 hours. And there was a professional cassette player with a mic sitting there, and nobody thought to turn it on. So I'm the only one who has any of that memory. But it was a great trip. And then when I got to New York, I was there for 3 days. And on the second day, I saw Buddy Rich 3 times. Right? I found that he was doing some warm-up shows at a university hall down in the village. And there was a 3 o'clock, a 5 o'clock, and a 7 o'clock show. And there were tickets available for all 3. So I went down and got in line. I had to see Buddy Rich, because I'm a drummer as well. I love the drums. It's the most expressive instrument when you see it played the right way and with all the feeling, And I saw musicianship. When I was here, I was staying at the Holiday Inn across from the park where the Colosseum is.
Parthenon,
the Parthenon.
Centennial Park.
Yeah. And I swear, there was a guy in the bar just doing a bar job. He was better than most people I'd ever seen. And he was just playing for tips, you know. That's why I wanted to come here, you know.
Yeah.
And I can tell you that it was an inspiring trip. And, you know, in Australia, there were some people who said, oh, you don't need to go over there. You know, you're already better than all those guys and blah, blah. And I knew that wasn't true.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
now I know what I'm aiming at,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
And it's been an incredible journey. This country, well, I'm now a citizen here. I'm now a US citizen. And, you know, thank you. This country, in every way, has fed me and inspired me,
Yeah.
you know, with all the lunacy that's going on out there and in other countries. It doesn't take away from the fact that this country is the land of opportunity,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know? And when you come from a country where if you start rising to the top, people don't like that. You know, don't go thinking that you're really good, because there are a lot of people out there that are much better than you. So you better not be, you know, doing it. And I always felt like I knew where I belonged. I knew I wanted to be a concert player, and that I belonged in the concert hall. I didn't want to be a guy who made a living playing in the bars.
Yeah.
You know, I did play bars, but I knew where I wanted to go. And I think the message there is you have to have a vision of where you belong.
Yeah.
You know, and I always had that vision, you know, and I'd drive home from playing in noisy, awful bars because I had to make a living, you know. And on the drive home, the anger that I felt was subsiding, and my little inner man saying, don't worry, you got to go through this to get to where, you know, it's not going to happen overnight, and you're going to have to build it brick by brick.
Yeah.
And that's what I did.
Yeah.
And I continue to do that.
You know, it's amazing the musicians that you allow into your heart, allow into in your musical ear. They leave an imprint. They leave a little DNA in your playing. Yeah. And you've had so many different kinds of influences come into your world.
Oh, totally. And well, thank you for noticing that. But you know, that's a great subject, because when I can look back now, because I'm now 69 years old, so I have the right to look back now. You know, I got this far and I'm still alive. I'm amazed. But you know, between the ages of 12 and 30, I did nothing but listen to great songwriters, because that's what I was interested in. I never did, you know, only study guitar players. I could care less. You know what I mean? I know how all the great players out there. There are people out there that can play stuff I'll never dream of playing. However, I can sing you songs by Jimmy Rogers, Hank Williams, Merle Haggard, Buck Owens, and then Gordon Lightfoot, Neil Diamond, Carole King, James Taylor, Stevie Wonder, you know, Michael Jackson, all those people. And that's just a little bit of what I listened to, you know. And I needed that to inspire me to be a writer, because really what I'd always dreamt of was having a song on the radio and stuff like that. And I remember when the first song that I released as a single, I was driving from my daughter's school home, and I had the radio on, and my record came on the radio. And you cannot, anybody who says they don't care about whether their music's on the radio or not is lying, because there's no feeling like, that's my song, that's my vision, and there it is coming out the speaker. And it sounded so much better on the radio than it ever did when I was mixing it and mastering it and playing it in my car. It just had a different thing, you know, and it was so incredible to me, you know. So, you know, I always, when I meet young players around the world all the time, I always encourage them to be a writer.
Yeah.
We need more writers. We need more new music, and and thank God there's so many great young people who are forging their own way, and this is and there's room for us all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Real creativity.
Yeah.
To be an original, not just a copy of someone else.
Exactly. Well, if you think back to the day I met Chet in 1980, so my fears came to grip me when I sat down in the waiting room waiting for him to come downstairs. All of a sudden, my fears gripped me, and I thought, what if I play for him and he thinks I just sound like a really bad version of him? What am I going to do? And I was trying to think of what I should play, and I was so afraid, and I started to sweat, and and he came down the stairs and he looked at me, and I swear he must have known exactly how I was feeling, because he walked straight up to me and he put his arm around my shoulder and he says, "Hey, it's great to see you, and you want to pick a little?" Like that. And I said, "Sure." And he took me into a side room, and all that stuff that was going on in my mind, I forgot it all in a second. Yeah. He just made me feel so welcome and like part of the family already. And he hadn't said anything really. Yeah. So I then went into Me and Bobby McGee, the same as he recorded it on his first Chet Atkins Alone album. Mm-hmm. There's a beautiful version on there, and I start playing it, and he didn't join in straight away. He sat there like this, and he was watching me like this. And then when we came into the second verse, he just came in with beautiful harmonies and everything. He made me sound so good. He did. And everything he was doing was like, oh my God, I've waited all my life for someone to play with me like that. Yeah. Yeah. And it was so beautiful. And we played a couple of other pieces, and then he goes, that thing you did there in Bobby McGee, and I said, yeah, and he said, I didn't do that. And that thing you did there when we played Black Mountain Rag, I didn't do that. It was his way of saying I was doing my own thing, Yeah. That's the kind of guy he was. Yeah.
Wow. We have so many good questions already coming in.
Oh, we do? Okay. You better read one for me.
Lee Candiati is saying, Tommy, I've never heard anyone play so rhythmically driven. Do you practice playing in front of or at the beginning of the beat? Because I never have heard you play late in the beat.
Oh, all right. Okay, so... That's a song called One Wind Julep, and I try to play a bit like stride piano. Yeah. Do you get that going? Yeah. And then the melody is. So it's right at the back of the beat. Yeah. Right? So depending on what I'm doing is what I think the song needs is where I put the time, right? I practice with a metronome, and I can play with it or against it or behind it or in front of it. I practice all ways with it, because time is time, right?
Right. Speak to that. Speak to developing a groove, developing that sense of feel, that sense of time in a piece.
A metronome is really your best friend. When I first started using a metronome, I hated it so much because that damn thing slowed down all the time. And I thought, well, it's useless, it's slowing down. Of course, it's me speeding up. And all that is, you know, like when I play with someone and they're obviously speeding up and they don't know it, I tell them, and then I say, but I don't want to put your fire out. I want you to keep that enthusiasm for what you're doing. Don't lose at it. That's what children have. Keep it going. But now know that your next thing is to work on your time. Keep that enthusiasm, but work on your time, you know?
What are some practical things that they can do to develop that internal sense of rhythm?
Well, listening to really good time, records with good feel, you know? I used to sit and play with Chet's records, you know, because his time was immaculate. And then a little bit later on, I used to play along with Earth, Wind and Fire tracks and stuff, and play skanky rhythm parts and all that kind of stuff, you know. And I also I bought a little drum machine, and I would set up a pattern, and then I would play along with it, you know, and improvise and do all that, and get used to holding myself back.
Yeah.
You know, because I'm one of these people, especially when I was younger. It's like I'm so anxious to play. You know what I mean? Like I'm in here starving, and all the green grass is right here. When the gate opens, I run out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, it was somebody who was asking me about how do you change the habit of of going to stuff you know. He said, because your fingers are like dogs; they go straight to the food bowl, right? and I said, well, you've got to think of what to play, sing it, and then learn what you've sung, rather than letting your hands, because your hands will just keep going, you know.
Yeah.
Anyway, getting back to time, it's something that takes a long time, you know. And everybody has their own way of feeling it. But when you work with someone whose time is so immaculate, it's an incredible feeling, you know. But you can't do it with everybody, you know. I go to play with some people, and my musical sense is I'm not going to play a real lot, and you know, and all that. And they're like, can we jam on something together? Okay, so we start to play, and they're hammering me like with everything they got, and I'm like, I want to tell them just relax, and let's just play together. Don't forget to listen to me, because I'm listening to you.
Yeah.
You know, and this is a big thing with people. You know, I always tell them a musician's first job is to listen. You know, it's not to play everything you know and trying to impress everybody, you know. Serve the music, you know, and get good at that.
Yeah.
You know, most of the people who I know who are absolutely brilliant would be the wonderful people to work with, because they know what not to play. They've already played everything, you know, and better than anybody else. You know, it's like, I remember I was making a record here in town, and I wanted Victor Wooten to play on a couple of tracks. Not because I wanted Victor to come in there and do what Victor Wooten's known for.
Yeah.
I know what a good musician that guy is, and what an incredible heart he has. And the moment I said to the people, I'm going to get Victor Wooten to play, they said, oh no, you don't want to do that. You want a guy who comes in and plays. And I said, stop. You'll see.
Yeah.
And sure enough, Victor came in, he loved the song, he chose the bass he wanted. We worked the part out, and he was the only musician out of the whole lot of us who said, I just want to redo my part because I want to make it a little simpler. It needs to be, you know. And he played the most perfect part, and I knew he would, because he's such a great musician. And a real musician like that has a big heart for everything he's doing.
Yeah.
So I had faith in that.
Yeah.
I knew that I could trust his judgment with my music.
Can you play us another tune?
No, I've played everything I know.
That was it. Wow.
All right.
What are you going to play for us?
I'll tell you what. Let me do this. Let's switch out and play something a little sweet and loving. What do you think? This is a song that I wrote from a dream after my brother and my sister passed away in 2018. They visited me in a dream, and when I woke up, the window was open in my hotel. I was in Italy, in Milano, and the rain was just coming down, and the smell was beautiful, and I just felt like I'd been together with my family. So as I play this, you can think about whoever you want to think about. It's Song for a Rainy Morning. Yeah.
When you're building a song arrangement like that, what are some of the steps that you go through? And
Writing that song, writing that song was a lesson in listening to my instincts, because my instincts usually come from up here and eventually make their way down here, right? Mm-hmm. So I tried to keep it as simple as possible, but I knew I had a melody that worked. Da. Right? That came out pretty quickly. And then I started to build it, and then I needed a bridge, and the bridge, this is like I always picture vocals like a group of vocals. That's a vocal part, right? And I like doing stuff like, I didn't go to the E minor straight away. I stayed on the A minor a fraction longer, and you know what I mean. Right? Yeah, to make that melody have its statement, you know? Yeah. And then the so there's like two singers going and they're doing that, right? So the first one goes like that, and when this one starts there, so you get So the song doesn't need anything else.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's a million things I could throw at it, but it doesn't need it. You know, so I have to trust my instincts, and I know that you know, when I write a simple song, it's always going to be a bit of a battle for me to convince myself that it doesn't need to be anything else, just that. A classic example is a song of mine called Ruby's Eyes, and the chorus is kindergarten. It's so simple, but it's so right, you know? And so my clever writer up here is throwing all these ideas at me, and this guy down here is rejecting them, saying, no, we've already got it. We've already got it, you know? So the verse is chorus. So, yeah. So the verse sets up the story, and then the chorus comes in. Yeah, the lyric that comes to my head, the song's called Ruby's Eyes. And so the chorus is saying, what's that little mystery in Ruby's eyes? It doesn't need anything else.
Yeah.
And you have to surrender to it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're just going to go putting all this guitar playing stuff in it, and it doesn't need it, you know? So,
When you're doing a cover of a song, an arrangement of a song that is already done, talk us through some of the like I've heard you talk about the importance of a surprise.
Exactly. Well, okay, let's
talk about that amazing concept.
Thank you. Well, when I came up with the arrangement for Close to You, for the an album we did as a tribute to Burt Bacharach, the guy who wrote this song, I thought when I was asked to do Close to You, I knew it was a song that had been done a lot, and most people just made it like the original. You know, the Carpenters is the official original version, right? So most people just do what was on the Carpenters version. They just found their way of playing it. I went back and listened to what and kind of got what was important, and that is Karen Carpenter's voice is the highest thing there. So there's group harmonies underneath. So I got to create that, right? So I found a good key to play it in. I'll just play a bit of it, and then I'll dissect it for you. So it starts it. basically playing the tune. Yeah. So I just found that, you know. So there's all that stuff going. That if she's singing, "Why do birds suddenly appear every time you are near?" Yeah. So the piano player is doing all this sneaky stuff behind the lead singer,
right.
and that's what makes it interesting. And then I do the do do do. We long to be close to you. Now resolve. So it's unresolved.
Yeah.
And then, so that's a way of not doing diddly-dum, diddly-dum, because everyone did that, right? So you end up with that, right? So, and so I wanted that every part of it there was movement and there was little surprises along the way, and then the big surprise at the end, close to you, last time. Finishes in a different key, right? So where did I get that idea from? I stole it from Stevie Wonder, you know, just by listening to him, because he was the first person that I heard who did stuff like that.
Yeah.
He would finish a song in a different key, you know, and then once I started listening to that, then I realized, oh, that's on a Barbra Streisand record as well. Oh, and there's this Frank Sinatra record that finishes here, and you know, and I started realizing that it's out there. You've just got to be aware of it. You know. And nobody owns it. It's all out there. We can all be, you know, guilty of petty theft. All of us.
Let's.
Is there another question here?
Yeah, we got.
Could Tommy and Steve play together, please? What do you want to play, Steve?
Well, I don't.
There's a guitar behind you there. That's all right. I can turn down here, and you know, or I can turn right up, and no one will hear you.
Well, that's probably what'll happen.
Let's play something you know.
Do you know? On the side of the street. See.
On the sunny side of the street. All right.
How fun.
How about that?
Wonderful. Do any of you guys in our studio audience have a question for Tommy?
How about that?
Now's your chance.
I do.
Speak.
Yeah.
Tommy, I just want to say thanks a lot for coming out and just doing the show.
Oh, thank you.
As an aging player, I wonder if you could speak to, do you do anything for the health of your hands?
Yep.
Or do you take supplements, or do you do exercises, or just play? Or?
No, I can tell you what to do. Look after your diet. Don't eat bad crap. Okay, and play the guitar a lot more. People are always saying, what do you do? Do you go to the gym? Do you have a trainer? Blah, blah, blah. I don't do any of that stuff. I play the damn guitar. I don't want to be a world champion ball squeezer. I'm going for the gold medal every time I pick up this thing. So, and I want to have fun and everything. And I'm really blessed. There's a lot of arthritis in my family, and I don't think I have it yet. I do have certain joints, like this thumb from all the years is getting pretty funky, but it's still strong, and I'm still playing. All I can tell you is that really, if you eat well and take care of your body, it'll take care of you. Yeah. So. Just, make sure. Some people don't even know that they're giving themselves like carpal tunnel and repetitive strain and all that, because no one's bothered to tell them, you don't have to play your guitar with an action like that. You can get it set so it's really nice to play. Yeah. Make sure that you love playing this thing and you don't want to put it down.
Yeah.
If you have to fight it, it's like the way we humans are. If I was that way of thinking of it's supposed to be a fight. I'm supposed to battle with this thing every day so I can be the winner. That's BS. Yeah. I want this guitar to be everything I ever dreamed of. And do what I need. So. People often laugh about and they exaggerate my action, but that's okay. I don't really care. What other people think of me is none of my business. But I have the action set up so I can play this thing all day,
And so, you're playing so many concerts. You're just
well,
as busy as ever.
I'm trying to get good at it, and that's the only way I know.
But I heard you say is that you've played over 200 dates in a general year or more.
Yeah, generally around that. Yeah. Well, years ago, I used to play a lot more. But things do change. This gentleman saying the word aging. I'm definitely aging, but that's we all are. But I feel better now than I ever have, and I can just tell you from my inner man is that there are certain things that I struggle with in my playing, and I know that what I need to do is to work on them, and it'll come back, But I definitely can't fly around the thing like I used to 20 years ago. but I can fly a little, and it's enough for me, So it's a work in progress. Yes, brother.
I think I speak for everyone here. Thanks for being you. You have a wonderful spirit.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Tommy, I told you I recently saw you in your live show.
Yeah, a couple of weeks ago.
Acoustic sound live I've ever heard.
Thank you.
Work on it.
Oh, yeah.
But my question along the lines of what the other gentleman had asked you, what about your hearing at this point in time in your life? Everything seems too loud to me today. You go to see a show and the levels are way too much.
Yeah.
How do you protect your hearing?
Well, I wear hearing aids because I was born with yellow fever. My hearing was destroyed before I came into the world. But I'm struggling to hear anything you're saying, but I'm kind of getting the drift of what you're. There are certain things that like certain bands that they play that loud, it scares me, and I'm afraid, and I cover my ears and all that. But I like to play with a big sound. It's not necessarily like loud, it's big, you know. How big are my notes? That's what you know what I mean? When I play when I play something like I want that to sustain.
Yeah.
I want it to sound like a voice, and I need it to be a beautiful, expressive sound. If it was quieter, it's still nice, but it doesn't touch me like. Now the guitar's speaking to me. You know what I mean? So, yeah, it's really how you use it. You know. So,
And as far as what you're running through, you're not running through anything. You got a tuner
No.
going into your.
it's the
Uno
same.
amp.
When you come and see one of my concerts, there's one pedal on stage. It's a tuner, and a tuner that mutes. Don't ever go to the stage without a tuner, and do not trust clip-on tuners on stage. Have a tuner where you can mute, and you can see it, right? And you can be in tune. You know, it's a big mistake for guitar players to play songs in many tunings and not bother to carry a second or third guitar, right? To put other tunings, put their guitar in. So they swap out and they're in tune and they're ready to go. They spend time tuning, they tell this long story. Okay, now we're going to play the song. And halfway through the song, the guitar's back out of tune because it doesn't have time to settle in, you know? Yeah. And so don't do that. Do yourself a favor. If you want to play in odd tunings and all that, at least get another guitar and put it in an alternative tuning. I travel with 3 guitars, and there's a reason for that. First of all, it means I got a spare if I break a string, right? Which happened a lot in the last tour. And it also means that I can pre-tune my guitars before the show and think about what I want to play. And then, you know, I can just reach for that guitar, plug in, here's the song, and bang, and go straight into it. And I know I'm going to be as good as I can get the tuning, you know. Yeah. And I don't tune with this tuner before the show. I tune with another tuner that there's a proper readout and all that. And I spend time tuning. It's so important. Okay?
Before we end with another song, one of the rare pieces of gear that you are going through is these fantastic
David Laboga cables.
David Laboga cables, which he has graciously sent us 2.
Thank you, David.
Of these incredible cables. Maybe we can get you even to autograph the box or something. Let's give one away.
All right.
And then we'll give one away to you guys here in the audience. So James Murray. James Murray, you have just won a fantastic cable. And let's give away to, I know exactly who I want to give this to. You don't need to come up, but, and what's your name? Elia. Congratulations, you have just won a cable.
Ooh,
we'll get Tommy to sign that for you too. Wow, what a fantastic show. We thank Groons. We thank Michael McRae. Come on, give Michael a hand. None of you would be here if it weren't for that guy right back there that helped put this together.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you, Michael. What a blessing.
We better thank the team.
And we thank my wonderful wife who's running the cameras, Steven, our producer. Diane, who is handling the chat tonight remotely. So we thank all of these wonderful folks that are part of putting this all together. Thanks for supporting the work that we do, putting these shows out. We've done it. I've never had musical accompaniment while I'm doing the closing announcements.
It was appropriate.
This is fantastic. But we've been doing these for, 10, 12, 13, 14 years. And,
kiss me once and kiss me twice.
I love it. So thank you for being part of the work that we do. Can you close us out with a song? What are you gonna play for us?
Let's do. I'll play a bit of the Endless Road. All right. Thank you.
If you guys want to keep up with Tommy and up with his schedule and all that's going on, you can check it out at TommyEmmanuel.com. Also, if you're interested in learning some of these wonderful arrangements, they have been wonderfully tabbed out by none other than Kirby Easler
There
right
she
here
is,
in our
right
studio
there.
audience. So
Thank
if
you,
you're
Kirb.
interested in purchasing some of those arrangements, you can get to on TommyEmmanuel.com. Thank you.
Thanks for having me, Steve.
What a joy.
Appreciate
What a
it.
joy.
Thank you, brother.
Keep up the great work in your own learning, and we will see you guys next time.
All right.